Good morning. I want to call the March 26, 2012 meeting of the Rutherford County Regional Planning Commission to order. Would you stand with me for our prayer and pledge, please? Our Father in heaven, Lord, we're so thankful for this day, and we're so thankful to live in Rutherford County, Tennessee. Bless this commission as we go forward. May we make the decisions that are in the best interest of those citizens of Rutherford County. Be with this county, be with this state, and be with our country. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Paul Gale.
Rhonda Allen.
Here.
Boland.
Here.
Veronica Buchanan.
Here.
Will Jordan.
Here.
Mike Cush.
Present.
Craig Lynch. Pettis Reed.
Here.
Steve Sandlin.
Here.
Mike Vaught.
Here.
Vincent Windrow.
Here.
Jeff Phillips.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Need to approve the minutes of our February 27th meeting. I'll call on Vice Chairman Craig Lynch for that.
I will so move that we approve those, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Also in front of you, you have the agenda for our next meeting, which is scheduled for Monday, April the 9th. Please take that with you because it won't be mailed. Any items withdrawn? Doug?
No, sir.
Okay. First item on our agenda is bond plat extensions for Springhouse Section 1 and a letter of credit extension for 1 year.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, they're requesting an extension 1 year because the economic times of sales has just been less than they want. I recommend we approve that extension.
So move, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Preliminary plat approval, River Birch Estates. This is a reapproval, 14 lots on 39.92 acres, zoned R15, located off East Compton Road. James Mitchell Bowman, developer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you stated, this property is located off of East Compton Road. The preliminary plat was originally approved by the Planning Commission in November of 2009. There was a 1 year extension granted to the plat in November of 2010. However, the plat expired November of last year, 2011, because no further extension had been requested. So at this time, the applicant is asking that we just reapprove, or the Planning Commission reapprove the plat. Everything appears to be in order with it. Nothing has changed with the development, but I'll turn it over to Mr. Corbett for any comments he may have.
The plat meets our requirements. However, I want to discuss one of the neighbors has a problem with the drainage. Under the current drainage regulations, each one of the systems will come in, will have some type of detention area. When this one came in, was before those went into effect. We allowed this to drain through River Birch, which is next door to River Birch Estates. The pond in the River Birch was built 3 times to the size of what is required. The drainage from River Birch Estates was a minimal increase of like 2 or 3 CFS because these are large tract lots. You've got a lot of grass out there. What you're accumulating is what's coming off the road. There's a little bit going to be on the houses, but the percentage increase from what was draining offsite onto this area anyway was extremely small. We got enough capacity in the pond to handle it. We've had a little problem with the owner of the pond. He has 2 36-inch pipes going into that pond, and he decided to put 2 15-inch pipes coming out of the pond. And what that did is it causes the water to back up in the ditches because it won't allow the water to get in there. And so the neighbors have complained that perhaps the River Birch Estate should require a detention area to handle that water. It turns out the water from the River Birch Estates, the way it's routed through the subdivision, is not in the ditches that the neighbors are having a problem with the water. We're working with a gentleman to create, to fix the problem with the pipes. And he's done a couple other things. And he's cooperating, but it's been a slow process. I just wanted to make you aware of it. River Birch Estate meets our requirements. The drainage challenge that we're having in River Birch is because of another situation that has arisen. So it meets our requirements, Mr. Chairman.
You've asked for some discussion. Before we get into that discussion, are you making a recommendation? Is there a recommendation that you have?
I'm recommending that River Birch Estates be approved as is,
As presented,
as
okay.
designed.
Okay, now discussion.
Where's the pond you're talking about?
Well, you actually don't have it on this one. I made one copy and it's gonna be hard to see here.
Did the homeowner put in two 15-inch pipes? Did he replace some 36-inch pipes, or was there any pipes at all there to start with?
Well, let's see if I can talk off of this. All right, Doug, stand. You'll be my easel. You put that down. This is River Birch down here. River Birch Estate comes off of this road right here. The water from River Birch Estate goes down through the ditch line here into this is the pond, okay? The rest of the water comes in through a series of deals. There's some 36-inch pipes here. He put two 15-inch pipes here. Water actually drains this direction. He put a pile of rocks right here to block it because he thought it was creating a problem. And well, it is creating a problem because it backs the water up and gets in the ditch line of this gentleman's house. It hasn't got into his house, but it gets in the backyard, and we have a problem there. So we're working with him again to move these rock and change the pipe in this situation here. The one we're looking at is River Birch Estates here. And again, the water comes down and comes into the pond here. This pond, the gentleman wanted to put in a geothermal system there. He actually wanted to block it and make it a pond where you keep fishing. That doesn't work with our system because then you don't have the capacity for storage. So, Mike, I just wanted to make you aware of that. I understand they were to be here at this meeting and somebody told me it was at 1 o'clock. And so they didn't make it. They were texted, it was 9. So anyway, they may end up talking to you. I just want to let you know all the information. But River Birch Estate meets our requirements, and we recommend approval of River Birch Estates as designed and built.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reed, do you have any comments on this?
No, sir, not other than what Dale has added. Actually, the system, I don't know if to reiterate, the system is built, the roads are in, the ditches are in on this River Birch Estates subdivision. So it's, I mean, he's exactly right.
So the piping you're talking about that's you're in the middle of fixing, or they're fixing right now, then that's going to solve this issue that the neighbors have, or this drainage issue.
It should, yes, sir.
Yeah. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Motion and second. Any other discussion or questions?
I just have a question,
Yes,
just
Mike.
mainly for the future or what the protocol is. This gentleman owns this pond, or is it part of the shared drainage?
The pond originally was part of the shared drainage. It was determined that the gentleman approached the developer about buying the pond, and there was a deal worked out where he bought it without our knowledge. We've talked to Josh about the legality of this, and we're trying to work through that. When it was approved originally, the pond was supposed to stay as part of a homeowner association for maintenance and stuff. We got a hold of the gentleman and said, look, you know, if you bought it, now you're gonna have to maintain it. That's when we found out about he wanted to put a geothermal system in there and have his most geothermal systems are enclosed, recirculating. He had one that was discharging into the pond, which the state had a problem with, so he had to change that.
Right.
But anyway, that was another matter.
Well, shouldn't he have gone before an authority to be able to place the twin 18s in the outlet?
He should have, but he did not. And so we're working with him. We've sent him a notice of violation to correct the problem with the pipes.
All right, what if
Working through the process to get it correct.
what if he says he's not gonna do it?
Well, at that point, we'll have to go use the stormwater regulations and end up taking them to court.
All right, would it do any good in terms of more teeth or more pressure on him to have this approval be based on his remedy of the detention pond? That way you have the developer hounding him and you have everybody else hounding him.
Well, the challenge we have on that is the drainage from this development, the way it's drained, doesn't go through those pipes. But
It backs up.
it backs up from drainage from a different part of the subdivision,
Of the original subdivision.
of the original subdivision. It just is tied into this, and I want to make you aware of it because they have called and they're pretty adamant. They're really upset, thinking that this subdivision should have their own detention area, and that would solve the problem. But because of the way it was built, the fact that there's a very minimal increase in CFS coming out of here, and the fact that original pond was 3 times bigger than,
Right.
it's not necessary.
This River Birch Estates really is a non-issue with what's going on at River Birch.
Yes,
To a great extent. How do we keep in the future, alluding to what Mike was saying, from some homeowner just going out and renting a backhoe and tearing out our pond?
well,
You know, they're
it's
supposed to be
all,
there forever.
to answer your question, there is not a way we can prevent it. What we have to do is, as we ride through and monitor, inspect, we see it, then we stop them, we put a stop order on it, and we end up having to go through this process. Now, most of the people have been pretty cooperative when we've had a challenge working with us. But in this situation, we've had more of a challenge than some of the others.
When we establish these drainage ponds, do we attach a drainage easement to the?
Yes,
to the
this one's
recorded
in a
plat?
drainage easement.
Okay, so he knows, so I'm just thinking about when he does his own due diligence to purchase that pond, he should have seen that there was an existing drainage easement that transfers with the property.
That's correct.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Just one, if it's part of a homeowners association, how can it be sold?
Yeah, that's,
That was my question. With the drainage easement, it should have shown up in a title search. Is that not right, or am I wrong here?
That's what I feel. We're looking into the legality of that, but the fact is, it did transfer ownership, and so I don't,
Well, but it remains with the developer until he establishes the homeowners association, or depending on, I guess,
That's
whoever
correct.
has the controlling authority. So it could have been he hadn't transferred it yet.
right.
well, we have a motion to approve
And a
this.
second.
Okay, good, all right.
We all done?
Somebody in the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a public hearing. We'll have to have a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Have a motion to suspend the rules. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I live there, and
Please state your name and your
John
address.
McCrary, and I live at 510 River Birch Farms Drive.
Thank you, Mr.
I was one of the first people there. We're talking about houses that are 350,000 and up, and everybody runs their water to the ditches. Is what happens. Since we've added more and more houses there, we're getting more and more water into these retention ponds and detention ponds. And they've added another subdivision up here, and they don't have a retention pond or a detention pond. And with the problem you was talking about before already, they're allowing them not to have a detention pond and run that water down to my subdivision. They said my retention pond was already big enough so that other people can bring the water in there. Well, that's my comfort zone, and that's my cushion for what big rains that we've been having here more and more, it seems like. They've okayed this person to build more and more houses up here, and it's uphill with a concrete ditch, and he's bringing all his water to my subdivision. And I don't understand how that's okay. They said there's a state law in place now that he skirted before in order not to have this retention pond. We have a flooding problem there. Where I live is at the bottom, and all these other places are uphill. and they're bringing all the water down to the bottom of the hill to me. Somebody needs to come out there and look at it before you okay something that was okay when I moved there, and then you're allowing somebody to build houses here and run water down to me. I just don't see how that's right.
Mr. McGray, have you spoken with Mr. Corbett regarding that?
Yes, I talked with him, and what he keeps telling me is that SEC or somebody checked it out and did a water thing evaluation on it, and said that our pond was 2 to 3 times bigger than it needed to be, so it's okay for other people to bring that in there. But I've lived there; they fill up and they overflow. Right now, our detention pond is completely full at this moment right now, and that's with the little rains we've had. We have 2 or 3 days rain. It's going to fill up, and we're in trouble down where I live. It's going to back up in the ditches and into my house. Somebody needs to come and look what's going on in the real world, and not what somebody come out there and says is okay.
Are you the gentleman that owns the pond?
No, that's Skip, and I'm not sure how that happened, what that happened, but what's going on now? That's full. It's completely full.
He's telling us that the man changed the size of the pipes coming out of it and holding the water back.
Pipes don't matter. There's no the water's coming back out of the pipes. The water go in the pipes. Water will go in the pipes. The pipes are this big around. Maybe they need to be this big around, but right now the water's coming back out. Right now, you drive out there right now, you can see water's back out of them, regardless of the size of the pipe. Water has nowhere to go. The detention pond is full at this moment, right now. Water's coming back out. It's not an issue with the water going through there. That does not matter. I'm telling you, I've been there. I've sit there, walked around when it's raining with my rain jacket on, looking at what's going on out there, because I'm at the bottom of the hill. That's the whole problem. If somebody's going to bring water from somewhere else, at least slow it down. You know, I don't care if you build 1,000 houses there, but you can't let the water come through there doing 1,000 miles an hour. Slow it down for a detention pond, then let it ooze out. Let it come out there at a slower rate. But it's coming down through there fast, you know. And for me to spend as much money I did in my house and my property I have there, now allow somebody else to do what's happening there. That's the problem. That's the problem, I'm telling you. I've been there. I'll meet him out there next time it rains, and we'll sit there and walk around the whole subdivision and look. Where they're building houses is uphill, and it's running downhill like this, fast. That's with no houses, and we still got 8 to 10 houses to be built in my subdivision right now.
Dale, can you add some light to this?
We've been out there when it's full like this. This gentleman lives on the first house on the right when you come in. The water on that side of the subdivision drains down to the front of it and around to where the gentleman put that pile of rocks I was telling you about.
Where you're showing it.
Right. That tends to back the water up in his ditch line. The water from the subdivision he's talking about goes down a different mechanism, comes into the pond. The pipes do matter because the detention area, you put the pipes in to allow it to get out of there at a certain rate. When the smaller pipes were put in there, it did not meet what was designed. In other words, if you got 2 36s going in there, you got 2 15s coming out, it's going to back up. And I agree with it. It will back up, and it'll slowly go out the other pipes. But it's coming in a lot faster than it was designed to go out. In other words, that's the reason we have the water coming up. Now, we're working with Skip to try to change those pipes, get him to move the rocks, and we feel that'll take care of his drainage deal. He is, like I told you, he is right. There is not a detention area up in there, the new subdivision, but because originally when it was designed, the water coming off of the new subdivision, which is uphill, was taken into effect. Now, you do have an increase because of the road. These lots are large. They've got a lot of grass, grassy knolls and burns and stuff that take care of some of the water. There is some ditch line at the bottom because it's kind of flat, which would increase the speed, but the water does not go by his house. It comes in a different way.
Is the ditch line paved or is it grass?
Part of the bottom of the ditch line is paved, is concrete.
Is that part of the problem because you're picking up velocity?
I don't think so. We designed the pipes and stuff to handle that. We wanted the slope on the bottom part of that was less than what's required by our regs, when you get down to a minimum slope like that, we require you to concrete.
I'll have a question. There's actually two ponds, right? One on the front left, and then one at the end of the first cul-de-sac on the left. Is that? I was familiar with that area 10 years ago, and the one at the end of the cul-de-sac was where someone had tried to dig a pond and it wouldn't hold water.
Mhm.
And my question, have y'all, has there been any modification done to that pond to make it hold water? 'Cause it would not hold water after a big rain. Any bentonite or
Water,
something like that been
again, it's holding
added?
water, that's where the gentleman has, he wanted to put his system.
Right.
So he, there were some bigger pipes in there. He put smaller pipes. He put some rock in there to block one of the ditches. And he wanted to hold water in there. His intent was to have a pond.
10 years ago, you could see it full today, it'd be gone out the
Right.
bottom tomorrow. And I just wonder if there's been some modification
Some
done with some
things-
bentonite or something like that,
I
you know,
don't
to
know
make
about,
it
I don't
hold.
know about the bentonite. Bentonite would cause that problem, but as far as we know, from talking to him, he hasn't put any bentonite in there. So that part I don't.
The pond designed to be a detention pond, and he's made it into a holding pond.
Right.
Which skews the whole design of the original subdivision.
And that's why we send him notice of violation, we send him some letters, try to work with him. We're looking into other things, maybe we may have to take him to court.
Doug, would anyone lose if we delayed the voting? Would the developer lose anything?
Well, I mean, the developer's here, at least I believe the applicant is here that can speak to that now. I will say that state law does allow you 60 days from the time it's originally considered to make a decision. And so, I mean, you're well within your timeframes for that, if you'd like to request a deferral, but the applicant is present, you can.
Is the construction already, somebody said the roads and ditches are already in for
Right.
River Birch Estates, it's already built?
Right.
It was approved, and now nothing's changed, and we're back here again. I mean,
The only reason we're here, excuse me, is that we dropped the ball and didn't get another extension.
Get
It's built,
extension.
he's ready to build houses now.
yeah, I mean, if the drainage system's already in place, then it'd probably be a total shipwreck to go out there and try and require a detention pond at this point in time, because the ditches and all are concreted bottoms, there's some of them are. They've gotta be sloped in the right way and aimed in the right direction to go to a detention pond. I don't see how we back up, you know, if it meets all the requirements and try and make them put a detention pond in today when it's already built.
What happens if the challenges that we have now, what happens if they don't provide the solution? If your solution does not provide resolution to the issues, then what?
At that point in time, we'd have to address it. I mean, I don't,
Then would it be too late?
Well, I think, wouldn't the county have the right, although if it took him to court, the county still, I believe, would have the right to go in and fix the two outlet pipes that are too small, which would alleviate the bottleneck. So, because it is a public easement. So I think and correct me if I'm wrong, the hope is that we work with the guy and he bears that expense himself.
Sure.
If we have to take him to court,
he has indicated in conversations that he will change the pipe size, but we've been working with him over a year now, nothing
Yeah.
happened.
Hey, guys, those pipes he's talking about are pipes that goes in. Those are not pipes that go out. Those are right there in the front of the retention pond. Those pipes go into it. Those, if they come out, they're going back in the ditches. Those pipes he's talking about are going into it. Where he's filled up in the back is the ditches that go out into the back onto other people's property, where it slows the water down and keeps it from oozing out. Those are not pipes that's letting the water go out. Those are pipes that's letting the water come in.
I'm confused.
Okay, that's the problem. In the cul-de-sac, that's where the retention pond is. The detention pond is right there. He's put two pipes that lets the water go in.
Into the pond.
Into the
And then
pond.
how does the water get out of the pond?
The water goes out into small ditches when it fills up so high. It's got little ditches. It goes out into other people's property over who's lived there before we did. That's the whole purpose of the detention pond. Is once I live here, I can't throw my water onto you and flood you out now just because I decided to build my place. So it slows it down and lets it ooze over in their property slower. You see.
So you're saying there's not smaller pipes on the outlet end?
There are smaller pipes on the inlet, but not on the outlet. On the outlet, there's no pipes.
There are some smaller pipes on the inlet, and we're working on the outlet, which, if,
Those smaller pipes on their inlet are
The inlet,
causing the
that-
backup in the ditch, is that
No,
correct?
sir, it's running through there. It's running through there. It's not slowing it down going into the pond. It's not slowing it down going into it. He's backed it up where it's filling up back here where it can't go out. But that's not the problem. I've lived there I've lived there for a long time already. That front pond that you was talking about, it fills up quick and goes over into the man's yard and floods him out, who's got a landscaping place right to the left. It floods him out. We cannot take any more water than what we're getting right now with our subdivision. I've been out there, I've lived there. You can't let somebody else build something here and run more water. We've got all the water that we can hold right now this minute.
How long have you had a water problem? Did you have, so you don't agree with the pile of rocks or the pipe change affecting anything?
No,
Did
sir,
you have a
but-
water problem before the roads were constructed up
Or
above
Skip
you?
Made the did
Here-
the
here's-
change.
here-
Or Skip did.
But when it was just 2 or 3 houses there, I noticed that water was coming in there and it was filling up that front pond, but it wasn't really bad. The more houses that we've got in there, this front pond fills up and runs over in this other man's yard, and this one over here filled up. Skip has changed it. Our ponds are kind of big. He's changed it where it's still holding water. But if you do nothing with Skip and you do nothing, if the state doesn't pass that and says he can keep it like it is because it's his property, the thing that's gonna put me over the top, because mine's already too big, is allowing water to come down here at a high rate of speed from somewhere else.
But he can't keep it like it is because it's in the middle of a drainage easement. He has gone in and disturbed the drainage easement.
Right, but I hope not. I don't know. I know that the wheels of justice, sometimes they see things different
I may
ways.
not agree with
But
Mr. Corbett, but he's been doing this a long time. He always gives us good advice.
well,
And he's telling us the River Birch Estates is really a non-issue with River Birch. The River Birch's problems are self-contained.
well, I understand that. I build houses and I go by building plans all the time. And sometimes them plans don't match up with what I'm building. I have to make adjustments. And for somebody to come up there and say, okay, this is 3 times big, that's my cushion. If it will hold enough water, that's good. If I get a big rain, I gotta worry about my house flooding.
Well, there's a
Whereas
stub-
if you bring it from somewhere else,
I'm just wondering if the stub street was stubbed in this other property here, if that ditch pond was built bigger in anticipation of more development at the time.
The big pond was existing before the subdivision was ever built.
yeah, I think they utilized that area.
It was an attempt to make a pond that did not hold. That's the reason I was asking you about the bentonite, or modifications of some sort.
Is the smaller pond that you're, well, I guess there's 2, is there 2 ponds?
Yeah, there's 2 ponds.
Is the smaller one been there long enough that it may have already silted up a lot and you're losing volume? Because,
Possible.
I mean, isn't it about every 7 years or something like that, you really need to be cleaning out your,
well, I'm not sure what happened with the homeowner association. To my understanding, they've signed that one over to the guy's named Skip, and then the guy on the front owns this other one over here.
Yeah.
And my understanding was supposed to be a homeowner association. We're supposed to pay to have it landscaped and everybody chip in to keep it updated.
right?
You know, which is something I guess we could do together. You know, go around and get that taken care of.
But if I'm hearing your concern, it's the front smaller pond that holds water nearly all the time.
No, sir, it's the back pond that holds water all the time. The one he's done. The front pond will drain out, but when it fills up, it doesn't soak the water up very
Okay.
fast. It fills up and goes over into somebody
Okay.
else's property, which this is supposed to flow down to here.
Right.
And with what we got now, with all this water coming to Southern Subdivision, it's gonna come to this pond, which is full right now, and back up in the ditches and back up all the way to all our property. The new property that they're building these new houses is way up here. We're down here.
Yeah.
This water's gonna come in here coming. And then these ditches are gonna fill up and they're gonna back up into our houses. That's the deal. That's plain and simple. Y'all could come and look at it. I mean, if somebody come out there and walk around and look, don't just say, well, yeah, that's not it. That's not what's happening out there.
Mr. McCreary, anything else?
No, sir, that's it.
Anybody have any other questions for Mr. McCreary? Thank you for your attendance. SEC, you made a comment a minute ago. I, or this commission, would like some information from you about that ditch.
Our ditch on our site?
The one that we've been talking about here, that the homeowner has bought or purchased.
As far as his, I'm not sure what he's done out there. I haven't been out there since he's been doing construction on it, on the pond and maneuvering. But we did, way back when we did this originally, the pond was, you know, that outlet structure, it did not have an outlet structure in it, just like he's saying. The reason it's holding water, if I remember right, is that there was not a defined outlet structure. You got pipes coming into it, and then it holds water. So really, it's acting like a retention pond versus a detention pond. You know, it's just holding the water, and that's what's backing it up. Of course, with the check dams, like Dale said, that's backing it up. But as far as our ditch goes, the reason it's a concrete swell is because it's at like 0.2% slope. So it's a very shallow slope, and it's, you know, to carry the water out of there to meet their requirements.
So,
But it's a small, like what I'm getting at is it's the increase that we're adding on to it. You're talking about probably what, 1-2 CFS, something like that. We've got large estate lots, 14 estate lots on that large, I don't forget the total acreage of it, but we're not increasing much at all.
39.92 acres.
How much?
39.9.
Yeah, 39 acres, we got 14 lots, large estate lots. So it's not increasing very little onto them. And it's not the ditches that's backing up on, that's shooting out on ours, it's the other ditches. And it's hard to describe.
Danny, I know you're through, had all your plans in order, it's already been passed. Is there any place you could put any kind of more little pond, detention pond?
Oh, not on our site. That's what when we originally did all this, no, sir, it would kill soils and lots and stuff like that. We originally looked at that, and it was like, well, it's such a small amount. I mean, it wouldn't be, you'd be digging a little area that somebody had to maintain for just such a small amount. You're teetering on not even putting anything in there. And since there was such a large area downstream that was already there, that's where it's going in the first place, we utilized that, and that's what we agreed on with the county. But no, we couldn't. It would kill a lot to get it.
No stop mechanism at all, even in a ditch, nothing slowing down or anything?
I mean, that's not going to solve his problem at all. The same water is going to be coming there. If it's 1 or 2 CFS, it's not going to help him out. Their flooding problems is down in their area, in their ditches and stuff, is their main concern. And the pond is not releasing that water out like it should, like he's saying. It's the water's not going out. It's coming in, but it's not getting out.
Getting the pond in order.
Yeah, that's what it needs. The pond needs to get in order with the guy that owns the pond, in my opinion.
In your opinion, everything that Dale talked about, as far as the property owner that owns that retention pond, creating, in essence, a real lake or a pond himself, you represent Mr. Bowman?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Mr. Bowman also developed whatever the Section 1 was, or
River Birch.
River Birch, thank you. Also developed that.
No.
That was different. Separate development.
Okay.
No, somebody else developed it.
Yeah, Harding Fox actually originally did it, and
Okay.
Mr. Bowman purchased it from him. But I agree with Dale, exactly what Dale said.
Okay.
River Birch Farms is a separate deal.
Yeah, it was
It's been there
done.
several years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that. Okay, so I guess where we stand and where we highlight, maybe to kind of recap, what we're talking about is River Birch Estates and the amount of water that would flow onto the existing River Birch is minimal and would have no effect on the water problems that appear to be in that section right now.
That's correct. When you look at the total CFS going into the pond, it's a much larger number. It's just, now, we agree there is a drainage problem, and we're trying to work, like I say, with the homeowner. It's been a long process. David has been involved with codes, and the state's been involved because of his geothermal system and some other things. And verbally, he has indicated that he will work with us to solve the problem.
So the issue itself is contained in the other development and not in the one that we're talking about?
That's our opinion,
Okay.
yes, sir.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any other discussion? Are you ready to vote?
I made the motion to approve, and I'm gonna stick by that because our county engineer says it meets our requirements. That's the biggest point here. and the existing subdivision is totally different than this part right here. So I think we've got two separate issues, even though I want to make sure that this flooding issue down here is fixed or solved or something done with it, because they, you know, ultimately this is going to cause problems somewhere within this system. So if we're already working with that, I'm going to leave it at that, but we need to stay on top of that. I don't know how else to say it, Mr. Chairman, but I mean, it doesn't affect what we're looking at and what we're approving here today. So,
You
We've
said-
been a year trying to get this guy to change these pipes. We've got to step that process up. That's just ridiculous. I would hope
yeah.
they change the pipes out before the next rain when it was first discovered, and here we are a year later. Been a lot of rain last year.
I mean, if there's citations that need to be written, if there's, David, is your department in with helping enforce this part then? Okay, so, I mean, we need to jump on that, get that.
Okay, I'm done, guys, but ultimately, it's not changing the pipe that's gonna solve my problem. It's drainage at the back of those retention ponds. So let's say you get the drainage out, and I still flood, and this extra water's coming up there. He's calling it state lots. There's about a quarter-mile road there with, in a quarter-mile, they're gonna run all their water tonight. They said it's gonna be a lot of water. So ultimately, let's say my house floods because of this situation. Who would be responsible?
I'm not an engineer, but it looks like this person that's caused this problem on this drainage area it comes back to them.
But let's say he does what you ask him to do, and my house.
Sir, can you go to the podium, please?
Let's say he does what you ask him to do, and my house still floods. And I had a compressor on there earlier that I knew these would hold my water. Now let's say I flood after y'all decide to change the pipes is all you do, and my house still floods. Who would be responsible for the damage I occurred to my house? Who is it?
Like I said, I'm not an attorney or an engineer,
Well,
but
there
this,
you go. Who
it
is
appears to me that this property owner on this drainage pond has a big problem on their
Yes,
hands.
but I lived there before he was there, and we had plenty of water
Mr.
there.
McCreary, we can't answer that question. That's a legal question. That would be something that you'd have to do. We can't answer that question.
Well, the whole thing is when I lose property, David, I don't want this to come to you guys and you point your finger at him and then he points his finger here. I like to know at the end of it all, who's signing off on this saying this is okay for this to happen? That's you guys. Is that who it is, or who's okaying for me? If my do get flooded, who's okaying this?
Once again, we can't answer that question for you.
He's the owner.
And we need
I'll make a motion. We suspend.
I have a motion to
Second.
suspend the rules and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Name and address, please.
I'm Mitchell Bowman. I live at 1105 Creek Round Court. I've been out there several times, especially when it's rained 4 inches, and I understand his concerns, but if you look at the property, like they say, it was designed with that water running there anyway. 2/3 of that 39 acres runs toward that subdivision, and the other 1/3 runs toward that subdivision. The other 2/3 runs on the back side. But I already have 2 houses sold out there, and you know, they're real eager to start, but I'm willing to work with them. If they want me to put a check down to slow the water down, I can do that. Or there's an area right there at Lot 3 where the water comes from the other side that we might be able to put a little area to hold a little water or something. But, you know, I'm just saying I will work with them, you know, because all I have right now sold is Lot 1 and Lot 13. So, but I just want to let you know I'll work with them if I need to. But you know, I've been out there and I've seen the water, and I've been there when it's rained 4 inches. My ditch is not full where the water comes down, but you know, I just noticed the amount of water that comes, and just 1/3 of that property the water drains to that. The other 2/3 goes on the backside. But I'll be willing to work with them too if we can get approval today.
I have a question for Dale. I mean, the water that was on River Birch Estates here was going somewhere. Now, has putting in the road and the ditches changed very much of that water where it was draining to?
From off of River Birch's Estates.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that a sizable portion,
Right.
you know, some portion of it, like Mr. Bowman said, was draining across here anyway.
Yeah, I think something like 29 or 30 acres were draining across there before River Birch Estates went in there. And it's pretty good slope and it's a lot of rocks, so it was, but it does have grass and stuff, that was slowing it down. So that was taken into account when they did the original design for River Birch.
We didn't drain a swell back here in the back then that was holding water and shoot it across River Birch Farms. So we haven't significantly changed what was happening anyway.
That's correct.
And is the entire road built and all the ditches are in place?
Yes.
So the only additional water we're gonna get more than if it rained at this moment would be driveways and rooftops.
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Any questions for Mr. Bowman while he's still here? Thank you. Any other questions? Ready to vote? Once again, the motion is to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you. Eight B, Suits Me Farm, 3 lots on 2.17 acres on R15, located along Franklin Road.
Final approval.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I just skipped that. This is final approval for the preliminary plat that we just approved, River Birch Estates, 14 lots on 39.92 acres.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. As you stated, this is the final plat for the development we were just speaking about, River Birch Estates. The plat appears to be in good order. The only comment that we have is really on Lot 8. You'll notice in the soils area, there's kind of a circular area in there. The only comment we really had is if that's a sinkhole, it needs to be labeled as such. But besides that, the plat appears to be in good order. So we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Dale, do we need to do anything with this one, with the final, that indicates Mr. Bowman's willingness to work with you on the overall drainage issues?
If you want to put that as part of your approval, that's fine, and we'll work with him. On Lot 3, where he was thinking about, that's pretty high up in the drainage. I'm not sure how much water he'd catch right there. The check dam we can put down there, that would probably be the most effective system to slow it down, and that's what our neighbor wanted us to do, is slow it down. And you'll still get the water, and we're still working on this other problem. We'll take care of a lot of that. But I would recommend that you go ahead and make that as part of your recommendation,
How do you want that worded?
that the engineering department will work with the developer to minimize the rate of flow of water out of River Birch Estate.
I'll make the motion to approve, subject to staff comments.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I'd like Commissioner Reed to make a comment on that, if you don't mind, since you're doing this for them. How you gonna do that, and
Well, what I would probably do, the simplest thing to do that would do it and solve most of it is put just a stone check down at the very low end before it goes into that subdivision. It'll serve as also to slow it down, but also clean the water up as it's leaving our site. That'll probably be the
That'd be close
easiest.
to Lot 1 or
22. I think it's 22 on River Birch. I've been talking to the guy on Lot 22 and River Birch. What's the other one called? River Birch Estates.
Estates.
The one
Lot
just-
14 would be in River Birch Estates and Lot 1, right before Lot 22 and 23 in River Birch
Here you go,
Farm.
James. Here's,
Yeah, at those two, where the water's coming out, it's actually Lot 22, between Lot 22 and 14. The other side, the water's not, it's actually crossing Lot number 3, the 2 pipes are, and then it goes into a ditch that loops around the front of Lot 14. If we put it at the bottom side of Lot 14 before it goes on to Lot number 22, which I've already been in coordination with the builder and the bank on Lot number 22 to coordinate his driveway. Actually, he called me last week, so that would work good to put it right before it gets to his on the downhill side.
That's just the type of information we were talking about as far as looking into it, not just necessarily a pond. Very good. And thank you, Jamie and Mr. Bowman, both for working with the staff on that. Appreciate that. Any other questions? The motion's in favor. So all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Now that carries. So we've had a preliminary and a final for River Birch Estates. Now, item 8B. Suits Me Farms, 3 lots on 2.17 acres on R15, located along Franklin Road and Meadowwood Drive. The Donald L. Bruce Living Trust applicant.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This property is located along Franklin Road and Meadowwood Drive. It's part of the area which is currently under litigation due to annexation into the city of Murfreesboro. Doesn't really have any impact on what we're looking at, but I just put that out there just so you're aware of it. There's currently 3 existing duplexes on the property. They're all non-conforming uses. The applicant just desires to split the property into 3 separate lots so that each duplex would be on its own lot of record. There's no new development planned with this proposed subdivision, and the uses would remain the same. We've done a review of the plat. Everything appears to be in good order with it, so I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Does it meet all the building setbacks and everything that it would normally met?
Yes, ma'am. Everything appears to be fine with it.
So then all the lots going forward as they sell would be under the same clause?
Yes.
Each one would be an independent?
That's correct.
Own meter, own everything, own motor?
Right, everything would just be, rather than have them all 3 on one lot, you're just having one
Right.
duplex on each lot now, so going forward.
Okay.
Motion approved.
Tell me what the deal is again then on the Murfreesboro
Well,
lawsuit.
as far as the status of the lawsuit, I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I know that the one further to the north was settled. This one's still in court. This doesn't really have any impact on, or the lawsuit really has no impact on what you're doing here. I just really put that out there just so that you were aware of it. There's no impact as far as that goes.
Robert?
Robert Lewis with the City of Murfreesboro. I just had a question. I know these lots are going to be subdivided. Is the extension of this driveway or road, is it going to be extended all the way to the end? And is it going to have a cul-de-sac that's going to be paved or up to county standards, or is it just going to be a gravel turnaround?
Really, it's what's existing there today is going to be what's there. They're not changing anything.
Okay.
One question I have, is this going to open the door for more development on the other side of that gravel driveway or anything? Because these are kind of down, I've actually been to these places before, and I know where they are. It's just a driveway all the way back here down to Meadowwood Drive.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's lots to the, I guess that'd be to the east. There's already existing lots there. There's an existing lot on Franklin Road. Just looking at it, I don't see where they could do any more development than what's already there.
Wondering about the left-hand side of the driveway coming in, if that
Mhm.
were to change ownership or something, but it would fall back to our number of lots off of the easement, I guess, because that's not we're not accepting that as a street or anything like that. That's correct.
I just want to clarify that there's not going to be an extension of the pavement up to the end of up to that last lot number 2.
Well, according to the plat, it's already paved. Existing pavement goes all the way to lot 2, according to the plat.
Okay.
That's a private driveway, correct? That's
Private
not-
now.
Looks like that, yes, sir.
So it will be public after that's subdivided, or is it going to be is it going to remain private?
It would just remain private, I think. We're not.
Can we approve a lot that doesn't have any type of access?
Access.
Because lots 2 and 3 are completely surrounded by private property. That existing pavement, I don't see anything that says easement or anything like that.
Existing gravel.
Yeah, but that goes to lot
Pavement
2.
here and then gravel there.
The existing gravel goes to lot 2, if you look, Greg.
Gravel here
And
and
then pavement there.
gravel here.
I think this is where it looks like the
Off of Franklin.
public road stops.
It would appear to me that needs to be extended.
I don't know, because can you get to these from there?
It would appear to me that the existing pavement needs to be extended to touch lot 2 and lot 1 to give them
According
real
to,
access.
Lot 1 fronts on Franklin Road.
I mean,
right. And according to the information we
Huh?
received, the
little
right-of-way.
lot 1 and lot 2.
Yeah,
not-
the right-of-way
not big
from-
lot 1.
The right-of-way from the information that we've received is that the right-of-way for Meadowwood Drive actually goes all the way to lot 2. one of the comments was that, that there's a little line there where, right after Meadowood Drive where the words are, that should have been removed, apparently wasn't. But from the information that we've received from the surveyor, that is existing right of way today, and it's paved all the way to Lot 2. Because, I mean, that would be an issue with these lots next to Lot 3. There's 2 lots next to Lot 3. They would have the same access issue.
So does it extend all the way to the re-subdivision Lot 1 and 2?
Well, Lot 1 already has frontage along Franklin
Okay.
Road, so that one's not really in play. But from what we're being told from the surveyor, the right-of-way goes all the way to the end of, well, I guess to access Lot 2, and Lot 3 would access that same right-of-way, and then that little line should be removed.
So that there'll be no access to the re-subdivision lots off Meadowood Drive, is that correct? Their access will be off Franklin Road.
Well, just for Lot 1, Lot 1. Lots 2 and 3 would still access Meadowood Drive, as they currently do. I'm sorry.
They come off
These-
of Franklin.
That's what we're doing, isn't
These
it?
are all.
1 and 2 without a circle. No, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, all right.
Oh, you're talking about 1 and 2
Without the circle on the
next to, on the,
On the
below
re-subdivision, are we
Lot
trying to
1, okay.
gain access there or not? That's what I'm trying to determine. Okay.
There's houses on those
Yeah,
lots that
right.
front on Franklin Road.
You're talking
All
about
right.
those 2. You're talking about okay, I see where you're, I'm sorry. Yeah, those 2 already access Franklin Road.
I think what throws them off is the owner owns them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you all don't have a provision to extend or to create a turnaround for service vehicles, emergency vehicles?
It would just be as existing today, Robert.
Okay.
It's probably an improvement over what's out there now. This still isn't a perfect world, but it is, instead of three
These are all
duplex
under
on
one
one lot,
deed.
they're
Is
at
that
least
what it
each
amounts
individually
to?
platted.
We got existing duplex,
Soon.
existing duplex, existing duplex, all on one deed, all on one lot. Oh, my God.
My second. It's been a long time ago.
We have had a motion to approve. Any other questions?
What's the final outcome?
I mean, I guess the final outcome is Meadowood Drive extends all the way to Lot 2. So lots 2 and 3 would have access to what we're being told from the surveyor is a public right-of-way, a paved right-of-way. Lot 1, the circled Lot 1, will access Franklin Road, and as it does today, there's a driveway, existing driveways already there.
You think that existing pavement from where this line is out to Lot 2 is actually what the county paves, and that's on the county road book?
That's what we're being told.
I was under the impression it became private road there, and they had just paved it themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, just because of the way it's drawn on here, it looks like Meadowood stops.
There's
And then the
no
existing pavement.
cul-de-sac there or anything. The county wouldn't have accepted that without a cul-de-sac, without the ditches and all that place. I think that's just gonna be a private easement from the existing.
Where
We
it
got
said,
a road survey
Will, you're talking about the area that says existing pavement,
Yeah.
is that correct?
Yeah.
From where it says Meadowood Drive, then that's the end of the county, you're thinking,
Well, let's see what our highway superintendent said.
That's private.
I was out there several years ago for some reason, and I remember thinking that was just a little narrow paved driveway from there down.
Mike?
It is paved the same width as the other road, to my recollection, but I'd have to have the road book and do a measurement on whether, we have the right footage in the road book. It goes to end of pavement, I think, in the road book.
Well, I guess my concern is.
Now, whether it's public or private, it could have been paved in years past, and nobody knew the difference, but whatever our road book says on footage is ours.
I'm concerned about it possibly being a private easement, and then how that road's gonna be maintained, and then the responsibility of ownership. I think that's one of the things we've talked about in the past, that as we record these plots, if they are in a private easement, then there's something in there that indicates that they have responsibility to continue to maintain that road. So, I need to know.
Well, again, the information that's being provided to us is that that's public right-of-way all the way through where it accesses Lot 2. Now, if you'd like us to, go back and and verify some of that, I mean, I would just defer this and let us make a report back at the next meeting. I don't think this is critical. Again, this is not, they're not doing redevelopment or anything at this time.
That's the most
but-
responsible course of action for us to know whether that's public or private road.
Right, but again, the information that was provided to us is that it's public, so, but we can check that out.
One thing I might clarify too, it can be a public road and still not be a county road. Could not be maintained by the county, but whatever our road book says is what we have.
If it's a public road, who would maintain it?
The homeowners, I guess.
First time I've heard that.
Like the
Well-
parking lot of a Target or something like that?
Do what?
That's public, they could close the gates if they wanted to or something.
It can be a private easement, public easement, or a county maintained road. It's three different things that roads could be in this county. Just because it's public doesn't mean it's maintained by the highway department.
Mr. Bruce is back there, he could probably shed some light, being as he's the one that, I make a motion to suspend the rules, allow Mr. Bruce to speak.
It's not necessary.
He's
Just
the
come on up.
developer, so yeah.
Don Bruce, I live 1911 Haynes Drive. I built the road to county specs in about 1978 or 79, and it is a county road.
All the way down to lot.
Where it shows on the plat, down to, goes on into Lot 2.
It ends right at that driveway that pulls into Lot 2.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, correct.
Thank you.
I still make a motion to approve it, subject to it is, if it is a county road. If it is. Mike double checks his book,
And if not, then
and if not, he has to.
If not,
Come
we'll,
back here.
right, I mean, if it's not, we'll have to go from there. We may have to have approval from you.
But basically, all we're doing here is taking a lot that has 3 duplexes on it, 3 houses, and separating out the houses. And these are
Right.
existing houses. We're not creating anything new or anything.
That's correct. You have one lot with 3 duplexes, you're going to 3 lots with 1 duplex each. That's the only change.
I'll second that again, I thought we
Okay.
already had a motion.
We did, but
Yeah.
now it's contingent upon it being a county road, I believe. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Y'all understand the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And that motion carries. Thank you. Final plat for Sterling Ridge, Section 3, 3 lots zoned R15 located along Rockingham Drive off of Allen Road.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This plat probably looks familiar. We saw the preliminary to this at the February 27th, 2012 Planning Commission meeting. Essentially, all they're doing is making a small extension of Rockingham Drive and putting 3 lots along the road. Everything appears to be in good order with it, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Motion approved.
Have a motion? And a second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And motion carries. Item number 9, submitted for site plan approval. Item A, it's a Subway on every corner. No, I'm sorry, you guys. It's Subway restaurant, total new construction of approximately 1,500 square feet on 2.9 acres, zone services with a conditional use permit for convenient market and restaurant located along Shelbyville Highway.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Again, this property, like you stated, is located on the west side of Shelbyville Pike. The zoning for this property, as you recall, was approved by the Board of Commissioners at their October 13th, 2011 meeting, excuse me. The original plan, as they submitted it, was to construct both a restaurant, convenience market on the property. However, the applicant at this time is only requesting the restaurant portion, which it turns out is a Subway. We did do a review of this, a staff review, and we did have a number of comments on this site plan. Most of those comments have been addressed. There are a couple of things outstanding. One of them, they just need to show the zoning of the property, which is services. The landscape plan, while they have made some improvements to the plan, still needs to provide a little more detail, especially in regards to the buffering. We need a little more detail with that. And also, our engineers have asked that the proposed contours show the drainage into the pond, basically how the water gets to where it's getting and how it's leaving the pond. Besides that, I believe that those are things that we can address as staff comments. I don't think there's anything that we need to defer action on necessarily. But if you do make a motion to approve, we would just ask that you do that subject to those staff comments, and that we can work with the applicant from that point. The applicant is present, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
We initially approved this for convenience stores right across the road from another convenience store. And we had a big petition there. There was a lot of people that was against that, but because of the traffic problem. But a lot of that petition were people that were not even in the county, not there. So why don't we go ahead and do this existing future driveway? Why don't we do that exit right there, future drive? Why not do it now? People going, this is gonna be a coming home, stopping at Sub, going back towards Shelbyville, easy way to exit that way rather than being in and out traffic right here.
We had a pretty good discussion about that night, as I remember.
I thought that was, and we did have that in the original plan at that time.
How much traffic does a Subway create compared to a convenience market? I think Subway would be kind of a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, where a convenience store is.
Ate there last night. No, because I couldn't get out. They didn't have the exit.
Nice.
After my comment, I'm gonna eat there tonight.
Was that Mr. Jordan, were you wanting to?
I kinda had a question.
Okay.
What about the other driveway, and does the Subway by itself dictate enough traffic to do the secondary driveway?
Well, I think the reason, and you'd have to talk to the applicant as far as why they didn't put it in, I think they just felt probably that the amount of traffic the Subway generating probably didn't warrant the second part of the second drive at this point. I mean, if that's something you'd like to discuss, I mean, that's certainly within your ability to require. Again, you might want to speak to the applicant as far as why they decided to wait for the second drive. We were comfortable with what they had proposed. So.
But they're still planning on putting this other stuff in.
At some point,
Just
right.
one portion of it.
Right, that's
Right.
right. That's correct. They have approval for it. Now, whether or not they ever build it,
They have the soils for it?
As far as I know, everything's fine.
For additional,
Yes.
a couple additional buildings or
As far as we know, now, again, they would have to get their approval from the state before anything else was done. But I think that was part of what their analysis on the front end of before the zoning even went through.
Doug, doesn't the state also have to approve all inlets and outlets? Do we know if they've got the second outlet approved?
I don't know at this point. That's something that before they, begin doing the work, they would have to have their right-of-way permits in order. So that would be something the state would have to approve before anything was done.
Do they only have current entrance approved?
Yeah, well, I believe so. But, of course, they'd be
Has been
widening it, so.
Have a deceleration line.
There was quite a few things that we talked about that still troubles me with this right here and I think it was a lot of the folks that were there at that meeting too that, we're talking about a deceleration lane as well as this other exit out where they're calling Future Drive or whatever. I really think both of these things need to be intact on this thing since we approved it with that, and you're basically this is one start of a major retail outlet right here, and this is just one part of it, one piece of the puzzle here. So I mean, I don't think we could just approve this for this one thing without this other pieces of the puzzle that we had approved before.
Well, as I recall, the discussion regarding the turn lanes and decel lanes and whatnot, that was something the applicant would like to do. Was not made a requirement of the conditional use permit, as I recall, because basically the discussion was if the state is going to require that, then fine, then they can do that. Now, it's my understanding that the applicant wanted to do that as part of this. Now, again, that'll have to be done through the state. They'll have to work through the state for that. But just so you understand that there was no requirement for turn lanes, that was part of the
Passed it
approval.
with no requirement.
That's right. That's
Right.
correct.
Said they had to work with TDOT, and I know it says here it must have TDOT approval.
Mhm.
TDOT
Yeah.
may say they do want a turn lane, may say they do not, or a deceleration lane.
That's correct.
But I thought we were requesting a decel lane.
Not based, I know we talked about it, based on the conditional use permit, that was not a requirement. It was just something that was discussed, and it was something the applicant indicated they wanted to do, but it was not made a requirement.
Isn't there a pretty wide shoulder there?
There is, yes, ma'am.
But making people use the shoulder
Right.
is,
Yeah, that's not good.
But I think that's why we left it up to TDOT, because we knew there was at least something already there.
It's a state road, and we're talking about turn lanes on state roads.
Well, go ahead.
But well, at the same time, I would hate to make them spend that much extra money on pavement and another fee attached to 231 for a 12 parking lot building. I mean, I understand if, and who knows, that convenience store may never happen.
Gas pumps and.
Yeah, you'll need that second entrance
That's gonna
there.
be a quadruple amount of what a subway would be on traffic, it appears to me.
Yeah, and I say do it then, but I don't
And
see
I
the
think
problem.
that was the applicant's mindset on the front end, was why they didn't put that other part in.
have we not been this route before as far as turn lanes and deceleration lanes before, and we've required the applicants to set up bonds and hold those in an account? I know the subway out here on Highway 99.
Yeah.
We talked about a turn lane there, and they're holding a bond for that one if we need it. We discussed one somewhere else. The same things come up and come up. And it's all based upon what TDOT wants, isn't it?
That's right.
And if they say that one's not needed now, we can say it all day, can't we? Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, I'm for it, but I know there's people, that safety was the big issue of the people who live close by this. The other people signing were just signing as simply. But a lot of safety was the issue. And if we go ahead and prove it, and we don't put this in and don't require that, but if we do put in, like you're talking about, if the state says they need a turning lane, if the state says they need this, as of right now, maybe right now they don't, like, 5 or 6 people.
And that's
pull it out.
regardless of how you approve. I mean, that's something the state's gonna do anyway, as part of their approval process to get the permits that they need for the access. That's something the state will do regardless of how it's approved here.
If the state will approve it, if they know we would like that, or that don't have anything to do with it. Probably don't have anything.
Well,
to do with it,
based on my conversations with the state, at least in the past, they try to accommodate the locality. If the locality is asking for something, they will try to, honor that unless there's just some reason to not, some overriding factor that's involved to not honor that. That hasn't always been that way, but that's, the last conversations I've had with TDOT, that's what they've stated to us, so.
Let me ask you a question on that. I mean, is it requested from the state or from the TDOT for a deceleration lane, or it's, here we've got this location, here it is, what do you approve? Do you approve this turn coming in here, or is there, unless we put deceleration lane into our motion, or a
I think it's almost done.
turn lane, or
yeah.
whatever we want to say? I mean, what is requested then at that point to
Yeah.
TDOT?
I think it's almost done on a case-by-case basis. They kind of look at everything kind of as its own individual
No, that's not answering my
situation.
question.
I'm trying to get to that. Okay. But basically what they do is they'll look at how it was approved by the planning commission. If the planning commission or whoever, the locality said, yes, we want a turn lane, yes, we want a decel lane, those kind of things, then they'll look at that. If no request, or if no request was made for any of those kind of improvements, I still think they do their own analysis and determine, well, based on our numbers, we feel you should have some sort of a decel lane or turn lane or something like that. So I think it's kind of on a case-by-case basis, as I understand how they work. Did that answer your question a little more so?
I don't know if it did real good or not. What I'm saying is, when a request is made, we're making the request, right?
For
Or
the
is the
turn lanes or
applicant
something?
making
The
the
applicant's actually one making the request. You're talking for the TDOT permits?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the applicant, not that, yeah, not us.
So,
Yeah.
so they're just filling out paperwork that's standardized paperwork for TDOT.
Yes.
Has nothing really to do or say with turn lane or deceleration lane or whatever. It's, here's our plan. We're gonna submit this to TDOT. This is what we want to do. Unless it's drawn into that, then it's not requested.
Right. Now, TDOT still has the ability to look at it and say, well,
I
based on.
understand that, but
what-
if it's
yeah.
not a question to them or a request from them, then, I mean, I understand that they could come back and say, you need a turn lane here.
Your question is.
You need a light.
Will they look at it if it's not requested?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't.
You have to have a traffic study. Don't you? Don't you have to have a traffic study to?
Okay, I'm Ed Stevens, applicant. Before our planning commission approval on the conditional use, I met with TDOT and went over everything. And I asked them the concerns about a turning lane and a deceleration lane or acceleration lane. They really didn't feel like the convenience store with the subway would require that. I agreed, and my client agreed that if we wanted to put one in, we would. Then since then, my client and the market across the street have got a verbal agreement that he's not going to put the convenience store in, which involves the gasoline and the convenience store, which is a lot more traffic, as we've stated. And so it's just going to be the subway. But that being the case, if TDOT didn't see the need in a turning lane or a decel lane for the convenience store with the subway, dropping off just to a subway would be less traffic and less of an impact. And I felt it was better to have the one entrance in and out to confine the traffic on the subway to where you have it controlled.
Well, I'm confused in the request then, because it says right here, Subway restaurant, total new construction of approximately 1,500 square feet on 2.9 acres, zone services with a conditional use permit for a convenience market and restaurant located along Chevrolet Pike, US 231.
Right, what I'm saying is, as of right now, the property owner's made an agreement where he's not gonna do the C-store right now. And that was the basis of most of the objections to the C-store going were from the other C-store getting signatures to try to stop a C-store going across the street. That's been resolved by the two property owners. If a
We need to
C-store.
take convenience store.
Well,
convenience market out of
but
it.
it's still, a convenience store could still go there if the property owners change or
Right.
whatever. And the point being that if one did, then a whole new application and site plan approval would come through with the extra ramp and probably the decel lane and the turning lane. But at
Yeah.
this point, on what we're doing right now, I don't think it justifies.
Yeah, Mr. Sandler, if I can kind of add something to that, the conditional use permit that he has still would allow for a convenience market. The site detail, I'm just listing the zoning of the property along with what he is approved for. And at this point, he is approved for the restaurant and he is approved for a convenience market. He's not doing the convenience market right now. The zoning of the property and conditional use, it is what it is. I mean, that's how it was approved. So, again, that was just to let you know that, yes, this property is zone services and these are the things he can build there. But at this point, he is not, and based on the statements he's making, doesn't seem like in the foreseeable future will be building a convenience market. Now, if that ever changes and they do decide to do that, then you would be seeing another site plan. The subway would be listed as existing, and you'd see another building with the gas pumps and everything, and you'd have another shot at the site plan at that point. But the zoning and the conditional use permit, that's just how it was approved.
So this whole 30 by 50 is gonna be a subway. It's
That's
not-
correct. Yeah, the floor plan's up there.
That's a lot bigger than any subway around here, isn't it?
No, I built them anywhere from 900 square foot to 3,000 square foot. So, a standard in a strip center is usually 24 by 50, or 24 by 60, or 25 by, I've done 25 by 75.
Well, look, what I'm saying is there's a 50-foot front, but all this building is 30 by 50 is subway.
Correct.
It's not any other lease space or anything.
That's correct. It's strictly subway.
Okay.
Will it always be a standalone building, no matter what else goes in there?
I would think so. There's a possibility you could add on to it, but for the convenience store to ever go, I would think you would set further back on the lot to have more room for the gasoline. So I think it would be a separate building at that point. But as I say, be honest with you, I don't see that happening anytime in the near future. I don't think the gasoline volume is there to justify it. I think that's part of the reason my client agreed with the one across the street that he wasn't going to do it.
Now I have a question for either one of y'all. It doesn't show whether, do we have one drive going in and two coming out here, or do we just have an inlet and an outlet and no right-hand, left-hand turn coming out, since we're not putting in the other outlet right now?
Well,
do we need a right and left? I don't know.
Well, it
I'm
would
just-
be, I mean, if he's just, right. if
Plans
he's-
aren't clear
Yeah,
there.
if he's just having one driveway, then he would have an inlet and, one way coming in, and probably he'd have one lane to go to the right and one lane to go straight or left. Now, that's something we can ask him to provide as a detail on the site plan, but that one access drive would serve as both ingress and egress to the property.
But there would be no right-hand turn coming out and a left or straight across coming out, like the Dollar.
There probably would be.
Yeah.
I would imagine there probably would be. Now, like I said.
4 feet here, that wouldn't accommodate.
We would have to widen
Well,
the entrance to do that, and we can. Here again, I just don't, you're not gonna get the stacking of traffic to make that turn. I just don't see it as being, you're not gonna stack 5 or 6 cars back waiting to turn right or left.
Yeah, I
you
just
know.
wondered, I wasn't clear, 'cause plans didn't detail the inlet and outlet on it.
It's just 24-foot drive, 1 lane in, 1 lane out.
Okay.
I live in south of here, and I join another county, and I go over there quite a bit, and I won't mention the names, but when I go, I get so frustrated. No turning lanes, no deceleration lanes, and we live in a county, Murfreesboro City and Rutherford County, have thought so far ahead with turning lanes and deceleration lanes, acceleration lanes. They've got a loop around this place, and you have to stop, pull over, and it didn't have a deceleration lane. It's just things that I'm seeing right here that what I just take for granted. A deceleration lane into your subway right there would get people off this road where they wouldn't be bottlenecked with a guy coming out of the C&E Market over here. He coming here going towards Shelbyville, and this one's coming in, turning in here. Deceleration lane would take it off. I'd just like to see a deceleration lane, if nothing else. Maybe not do this
You're right,
this
right.
exit down here
Yeah.
until you do build.
Right.
Most people are driving
But
65.
that just gets people off the highway. It just quick.
Steve and I were just discussing, it may be 55 right there, but most people are traveling 65.
I don't know what the speed is.
Yeah, that's another, the adjoining county people all, they're pretty fast. They are, it's pretty fast.
All the people from Bedford County, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't say that.
I'd be willing to talk to TDOT about a decel lane, because, I mean, the pavement, you've got the wide shoulder already. More than likely, it would just be a matter of an overlay on what's there and adding a little bit of shoulder.
Yeah, just
and,
striping and less
and
striping.
just stripe it. So it's not, you're not looking at I wouldn't think it would be a major expense. And my owner would be glad to do that to, get traffic into his site. The issue has been, since it's been scaled down, just isn't that much
I
traffic.
think it'd be a little olive branch for your community.
Yeah. And we are adding a fire hydrant. I don't know if you noticed that on the plan, but we're,
Any kind of motion?
Not yet.
I'll make a motion to approve contingent upon a deceleration lane being installed if TDOT will allow, and the entrance being widened to allow for a dedicated left and right-hand turn lane. There'll be a total of 3 lanes going out, or 3 lanes going in, 2 out.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Richie? Yeah.
I don't see why we would put that on them. You're talking about 12 vehicles in and out.
Well, we're not adding the other driveway. We're just making this one a little bit wider. It's gonna make him put another 10 foot of pavement, which you're in the construction phase. That's not a tremendous cost. And that driveway will end up getting utilized probably whenever that convenience market is built. That parking lot will all be tied together, and you'll be wishing you had a wide, they'll be either going in and tearing it out and change it, so that other.
I don't have a problem doing the 36-foot wide. probably have it to where the turning lane would handle 2 cars, and I think would be enough, for a left turn, or the straight or left. So, that's not a problem.
Sign meets our requirements.
Well, as originally submitted, no, it doesn't. But one of the comments we always make on our review is that approval. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sign approval, just because they show a sign on the site plan doesn't mean we're approving the sign. That has to be our.
Motion was contingent upon them meeting all the staff concerns.
Second motion.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Did you need a second? You already got it. Third.
It could be third.
We have a motion to approve with, working with the staff to continue like landscaping and also a decel lane and a 3-lane entrance exit. Ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The motion carries.
Thank you for being willing to work with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Thank you for being here. Staff reports?
Nothing just official, but just to say that, as a reminder, we will be having our next public hearing for our zoning map and new zoning ordinance. I believe that's April 9th. I believe that's the correct date. At 6 o'clock over in the courthouse, right in the center of the square. So there'll be an important meeting, and I hope people that are watching this, if they'd like to come make any comments, we'd be glad to hear them. If they'd like to call our office prior to that, ask questions, again, we're always available for that as well.
Have you received any additional comments?
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Ms. Johnson-Hayes just said, please don't forget your agendas that we passed out. I'm sorry, Ms. Allen, but.
Have we received any additional comments since our meeting 2 weeks ago?
We received on our the web-based form. We did receive one comment, but it wasn't really about the zoning. It was really about a development along a particular road, not so much about the zoning itself. I've tried to contact that person to find out what their concerns were. I've not heard back from them, so I'm trying to work that. But as far as any other comments on the zoning itself, nothing else. No, ma'am.
Have you heard from any of the other county commissioners? I've continued to encourage them at all our meetings to be reading the zoning ordinance. Have you
I
heard
do
from
believe
anybody?
we made a copy for one.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I was off a couple days last week, so I don't know if anything happened while I was gone. But I know we did make a copy for one of the other county commissioners. And of course, the drafts are still on our website. So if anybody would like, again, to view a copy of the drafts, they can get to our website, and they're there for them.
We talked about it, but did we approve the same thing that we do on the county commission level as far as allowing in our public hearings, 3 minutes or whatever it is did we talk about it and approve it, or did we approve it?
I think we just kind of talked about it.
Do we need to approve it for the next, start off our next public hearing that way? Or
we don't have anything just official to bring to you. That we would have to make that as a bylaw.
Oh, we gotta make it
change.
as a bylaw first.
Right. I think that'd be the best way to handle that.
Okay.
But, so.
Are we in the process of doing that, or we need to?
We can be.
I don't think we should until we get this part done.
We can ask them to restrict their comments.
Yeah,
We can ask them
do
to.
that.
That would look bad, I think.
I think that was sort of the consensus, we will wait till this process is over and then start in the middle of spring here with this and then go from there. Because there'll be another one right behind it and another one right behind it.
Well, I mean, and not just because this next meeting, I didn't mean it that way. I meant, we talked about it, and we're doing it on the commission level now. And is it 3 minutes or 2 minutes?
I think it's 3.
3?
It's 3.
Yeah, so I think trying to be consistent with that too is, and to be fair with everybody, so across the board and any board that, that we have public comments or anybody wants to speak in a public hearing format, that they have 3 minutes. Yeah.
I think it's beneficial too sometime to have a representative of several,
Oh,
rather than
yeah.
have several get up there and say the same thing though.
Yeah.
If you've got one that can make a 15-minute presentation, it's really probably more time effective.
Well, and you think it, or I did on the county commission level, that it would really go crazy, on public hearing time. But what it does, if it's a big issue, is it limits those people 3 minutes. So everybody gets to speak, and if that person that spoke first wants to speak again, or anybody else, they'll have time to come back and speak again if they want, if they needed more time. Or like you said, they had the subdivision or whatever had a representative to speak all their thoughts down, it really helps us, and it helps the subdivision or everybody that was involved to get that done. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? We stand adjourned.